Shirley Baker for becoming a member. OCO, everyone. Jeremy, I appreciate you. Oh yeah, we live, baby. Jeremy, thank you for becoming a member. Cantrell, thank you so much. I appreciate that. King Third in the building. What up, brother? Felicia, I see you with the feathers up. Choctaw, Montana, 808. What's going on, brother? Melanated. She says gratitude. Thank you. I appreciate that. CO, everybody. Michael, what's going on? I appreciate you joining. Bree, thank you for joining. About to get started here in a second. Y'all know how I'm sending out the notifications myself since nobody want to do it as far as YouTube is concerned, but yeah, we gonna do it. Latoya, thank you for becoming a member. Let's get it. Let's go. 19 months. I appreciate that. I like how they showed me how long. I appreciate that. Amani in the building. Shout out to the Caribbean islands. What up, Niji? Tammy, thank you for becoming a member. Cat Sterling, I see you. Roger, welcome to the family, brother. I appreciate that. 10 months, I really appreciate that. Spread wealth, welcome to the club. I appreciate that. Loving that name. Brandon Tillman, I see you, brother. Where the tribes at? If you don't mind, throw your tribes out there. And if not, just throw the state that you're located. I'd love to see it. Huge shout out to my brother M16 for making these beats for me, including the intro, by the way. He does the intro as well. M16, what up? Okay, we got Kansas City, Michigan, Georgia. We got Cherokee in the building. New York, what up, New York? Airwalk, Cherokee, Kentucky. Big Cherokee in the building. Cleveland, Ohio. Philly, Massachusetts, what up? Michigan, Arkansas, Texas. What up, Texas? North Carolina, no Kakalaki, what up? Myrtle Beach, beautiful. Love South Carolina. That's my favorite right there. Excuse me. It's going a little bit too fast. Philadelphia, Florida, Chicago, Chi-Town, what's going on? Taino, I see y'all. I appreciate y'all being in here. OCO needs you. Puerto Rico, what's going on? Connecticut in the building. We got Jersey, Denver, Wisconsin. They go more South Carolina. They go Columbus, Georgia. Baltimore, what up, B-More? Okay, there you go, the West Coast. Oakland. What's going on, Cali? Okay, we got some Geechees in the house. Flint, Michigan, what up? Norfolk, Virginia, VA, what up? That's close to home, baby. Hawaii. What's going on, y'all? I love y'all. My apologies. I know y'all hear my cell phone. I'm making sure everything sound good too, so we can get straight to it. We got 1 minute. Big Texas in here. Australia. Shout out to Australia. What's going on? Detroit, what's going on? Virginia, South Philly. Chesapeake, Virginia, OCO. Lot of Michigan, that's what's up, man. Hey, matter of fact, hold on, see, I'm about to start talking already. I'm gonna bring that up when we finish. Hold on. I'm actually glad that came to my mind. I'm gonna bring that up. Shout out to the Bahamas, I see you. Los Angeles. They always showing love. Texas always showing love. I appreciate y'all. What up, Denver? Burlington, New Jersey. Louder, Indiana. What's going on? Let me do this now. Taiwan, thank you. I appreciate you.
OCO, freethinkers. You're now tuned into the realest historian on the planet.
His brother, he is raising some serious questions.
He's here to make you think.
What I'm trying to do is get our people to understand that we have been lied to all the way around about our history. Can you name any other group of people, no matter their skin complexion, that are being labeled primarily as the name of two continents? Not two countries, two continents. That is called a misnomer, which is the act of applying a wrong name to some person or thing.
The best teacher you wished you had in school. Have your pens and paper handy and get ready to take notes.
I want y'all to check out somebody named Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway? Look into Dane Calloway. He has a lot of information about how this whole shit was told in reverse. Okay, where they say, oh, we came from Africa over here. No, a lot of us was already here.
And information that was put together by a man by the name of Dane Calloway, who is also questioning the slave trade. And he's done some remarkable videos on the history of the slave trade in the United States. And he's gone back down the food chain and gone back down the line, and he's realized that a lot of the so-called African Americans in the United States are not African at all. They're actually Native Americans, because the slave trade did not happen the way we were told that it happened.
It's Dane Calloway.
Dane Calloway. Go and watch this man's channel, man. This dude is phenomenal, and he don't get the accolade and his flowers right now. You know what I'm saying? Because this dude gives some powerful information, some common sense. Go dig deep and research. Maybe even have to spend a couple dollars on research if you truth seeking. Not fact checking, truth seeking. Because there's a difference.
It's Dane Calloway on I'm Just Here to Make You Think Radio.
Turn it up. Look, 100 years after 100 years, they done lied to us about this and that. Told us all we from Africa. I made fiction characters turn into facts. Heard your time and then it was not. Knowing goddamn well that trick was capped. My wife and I wrote a book about it. It's a book with knowledge, evidence, and fact. And my other book got them haters shook, cause it's helping my people take a closer look at their backgrounds and the background, showing my people where they supposed to look. Showing my people where they get it from, where they hit it from, all sorts of angles. When it comes to this research, you must please first. Don't trust strangers. Find out all of your own. That's what I highly recommend and suggest. And if you're looking for answers and content about me, I highly recommend you the best. Which is my website at the link you see just across the screen. Don't let it miss you. I make it simple. I double down on that black and white. It's so official. Here we go. So, man, welcome everybody. I know it's been a while since I did this. I appreciate that. Hold up, my outro music playing. Hold up, let me fix this. I'm live, man, so hey. Hold on 1 second. M16 made that beat as well too. Shout out to M16 again. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me get that safe room music. You know I'm a big IE fan. So I wanted to talk about some things that's been going on. You know, it's a lot of people out there. I gotta smile because I've been doing a lot of work and it's been working. That's a very good thing, and we got a lot more in store as far as my wife and I is concerned to show to you guys throughout this week throughout the weeks coming period. I wanted to go live yesterday. In fact, I wanted to go live last weekend, but I don't know, you know, some of you may know that was the weekend of my youngest son's birthday. And, you know, we celebrated the whole weekend. We just don't celebrate the day. You know, and him turning 6, you know, him being a bigger guy, I had to show him some tricks and trades, and we wanted to run out and do some things. So that took the majority of the time. Now, I wanted to go live yesterday, but I had a little bit of trouble with this microphone, believe it or not. But I got that straightened out. Hopefully you guys can hear me pretty good. And I said to myself, all right, so I'm not going to take it easy, okay? We're going to be getting to something very deep here, but not to the point where you can't understand or comprehend where I'm going. I'm not going to fly over your head, but I am going to go a little bit deep here. But I want to take it a step at a time. And like right in the beginning, I'm gonna start off with some little stuff for you. And we go just to warm you up to what I'm about to show you. See? Let's see. Okay. I'm just making sure everything is queued up so I could be ready. So how's everybody going? You know, have you been watching? Okay. The last video, okay, how many videos was that? That was about 2 or 3 videos ago where I had Trump on the thumbnail. I may need to rename that. And the reason why is because I just exposed to you guys in that video what the US flag is all about. A lot of you caught it, but I noticed that YouTube is not allowing my entire subscriber base to see it. And I don't want to give anything away, even though I did, but I broke it down. And I wanted to tell you guys, hey, it's not what you think it is. It's a lot of symbolism going on. Not only symbolism, it was a lot of magic dealing with that particular sigil. And that's the reason why I followed up with another video where Sister Bethy and I were talking about magic. Okay? Because you're gonna see in a few videos, I'm gonna get a lot deeper than that. I'm gonna be explaining what our ancestors were doing in the past. Some tribes subscribed to it, some tribes didn't. I can only go by what I have learned over time, or what I have researched by way of traveling to these places. I might even show you, just like I did in that video, that I was traveling to these locations, and we learned a lot of traditions that, you know, had to do with spirituality and magic. And like I said in that video, magic can be used both good and bad. Even voodoo, even hoodoo, any form of magic. But a lot of people our enemies are, you know, as far as our enemies are concerned, they're using it against us. And this is the reason why I say, let me introduce that. Regardless, it doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter if it's if you're into Christianity or you're in the Muslim belief. It's not about that. This is strictly about education, guys. I don't want you to take anything that I state personally. Okay? Like I'm trying to combat your belief. It's not about that. You can keep that. I'm not trying to take anything away from, you know, as far as that is concerned, I'm not trying to take that away from you. If that's what you love to do, fine. I want you to know what our ancestors did prior to those types of religions arriving here on these shores. Okay? So we're going to be going a lot deeper into that and to other things. So I want to start off with this one. Hold on, let me let's do something heavy but light real quick. Here we go. Okay. Give me a second. Let me pull this up real quick.
OCO, freethinkers. You're now tuned into the realest historian on the planet, the best teacher you wished you had in school. Have your pens and paper handy and get ready to take notes. It's Dane Calloway on I'm Just Here to Make You Think Radio.
All right, so what I'm about to show you is Muhammad Ali, in which he was being interviewed by ABC in 19 1976 on a program called This Day Tonight, where he was discussing why he threw his Olympic gold medal in the Ohio River. Okay, now what's interesting to note is what he says in his own words at this point of the video. I'm gonna play it.
At the time in 1958, we couldn't eat in the restaurants in Louisville. We couldn't eat downtown. One day I saw two Africans go in with their robes and their turbans. They couldn't speak English. I heard the man say, "Let them in, they're not Negroes."
You heard that? Now, for clarity purposes, let's play it again.
One day I saw two Africans go in with their robes and their turbans. They couldn't speak English. I heard the man say, "Let them in, they're not Negroes."
Okay. Now that we heard what he said loud and clear, what could be the reason why Africans will be treated differently than Negroes at that time? If we were taught that Negroes are actually the long lost descendants of Africans. Think about that.
One day I saw two Africans go in with their robes and their turbans. They couldn't speak English. I heard the man say, "Let them in, they're not Negroes." I said, "Something's wrong. I can't say it's because I'm black, because they're so black and they're blue," but they went in. So I said, "Well, I get my Olympic gold medal, then I'll go in." I went and got my gold medal, went back in, ordered 2 cheeseburgers, and they said, "Sorry, we don't serve Negroes." I said, "I don't eat them either, just give me 2 cheeseburgers." And she said, "You're getting smart." She called the manager and he said something about, "I don't care who he is." She said, "Cassius Clay, I don't care who he is." Anyway, the motorcycle gang came in and we had this fight, you read, but the idea was I couldn't eat there, so I got so angry.
This would stun anybody who's not used to hearing that we have no direct relation to Africans as far as genealogy is concerned. By the way, that also includes our direct bloodline. You know, how they like to say that a genealogy DNA test can determine our historical genetic makeup by bloodline. Now, if you think about the scenario that Muhammad Ali just described, you would know that the Negroes of America are totally different from any other people from another continent, even if they do share the same skin complexion. And this also exposes that racism had nothing to do with a person's skin tone in general, because it was strictly based on a person's status with this U.S. government. Meaning whatever the government chooses for Negroes is how it ought to be, under the color of their laws. And that's not right, is it? I mean, they could tell a difference between a Negro and an African, but you can't. See there? This goes back to what I exposed in my previous videos about the terms black and white. And, you know, I said that they're social constructs that were designed and cultivated as a means to be politically correct when describing particular groups of people in America. However, our people, in fact, did not create these terms on any mutual grounds. Okay, nor did we even refer to ourselves by these terms like Black and African American until it was publicly utilized by the likes of politicians or young college university students looking forward to becoming politicians in their near futures in hopes of some type of positive change that eventually never occurred, for real, for our people's benefit. But it did in fact elevate that individual's reputation to be considered to be recognized in so-called Black history as a prominent public figure that allegedly attempted to do something for our people's benefit. It's always like that. That's it. That is all that is allowed to happen for people attempting to create positive change for our people in general, because that individual is not allowed to move forward in bringing their campaign promises in motion to become reality, all due to the fact that the government is not designed to work with indigenous people and their offsprings. It never has been. Come on, guys. It's no secret. we ain't got to sugarcoat nothing. It's no secret that foreigners from other countries on other continents are the only concern for this government. Why? Because this government is a foreign entity working for the best interests of other foreigners only. Am I lying? Am I right or wrong? Just ask Ukraine and all the others who will still receive immediate attention from this government with their concerns on a broader scale of things right now, still today. It's happening still. It's not a joke. Just look at how, I'm gonna give you an example. Watch this. I'm gonna show you this. Look how the Pope would treat Africans right now. This is an example. Watch this. Look at this. Look at how Vatican TV, by way of CNN, is showing the Pope kissing multiple African leaders' feet. This is not a game, people. And look, these are the offsprings of the colonists that were ordered to colonize our people and our land here on Turtle Island, showing their respect for African leaders and their people in front of the world. And it's being documented by way of the news stations recording it. Now, ask yourself, does it look like Africans are afraid of the Vatican? Or does it look like they took it upon themselves to step up, speak up, and create positive change for their own people's sake by making sure that their own people will control their own destinies? You know what else is stunning? It's how our people have never agreed to these labels as a means of describing our people in general, to the point where we did not inform the U.S. Census how we would like to be described, or even what we would like to be called, for that matter. Still today. Isn't that an issue? I like to say yes. That is a major red flag. During the 1960s, we allowed political and social groups, the media, and the government to influence our people as they were young college students by allowing our entire race of people to be referred to as whatever a stranger wanted to refer to us as. This is a major problem, y'all. Because think about it. How can anyone take us seriously if we don't take control of our own affairs and be serious about doing so? Come on, man. You gotta wake up. This is what I've been talking about for the longest. And what really makes us look even worse is when we have some of our own people asking this government for reparations. And then they sit and wait for years to go by as the government answers them by saying that they will only study what happened to our people historically before they make a final decision on what is owed to us. I want to provide you a scenario here. Really quick. Let's say you and your friend are at a bank making a withdrawal. And then you both are walking to your car, and all of a sudden, a few guys run up to you both with guns drawn, demanding the money that you just withdrew from your bank account. You were robbed of your money, and the thieves were never caught. Okay, now, imagine that some time went by, let's say about 2 or 3 months or so, and you go back to your bank to make another withdrawal, right? But this time, you notice that the bank manager that greeted you at the door and the bank teller that's serving you right now were both involved in robbing you and your friend in the parking lot months ago. See, at that moment, what would you do? What would you do? I'm gonna give you, hold on. I'm gonna give you some choices. Look at this. Would you A, go berserk and pull out a weapon and threaten their lives and demand your money back? B, finish up the withdrawal, then leave and call the police? C, finish up the withdrawal, leave and act like nothing ever happened? Or D, ask them for your money back that they stole from you months ago? Which one you gonna pick? I'm looking in the chat. Let me see. Come on now. Okay. So many, okay. Many of you, A or B. I don't blame you, right? But I want you to, okay, listen, hear me out. I want you all to notice something, if you didn't know already. The answer D, which is to ask them for your money back that they stole from you months ago. This is the exact same thing that some of you are doing when you are asking the government for reparations. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Think about that. Think about it. Ask them for your money back that they stole from you months ago. You asking for reparations from the government after they did some things to your ancestors. Wasn't that long ago, but it was still long ago, right? And it's not about, okay, I want you guys to understand. Yes, they did something wrong. But what I'm trying to point out here is that the government is not going to budge because you're asking them to give you something back. Like, okay, do you actually believe for 1 minute that this government doesn't know their history? And why they do owe us way more than just a check in this sense? Think they don't know? And look, if you think that the government knows exactly what they did wrong, then tell me, why do you think they need to continuously study this matter as if they don't know what folks are talking about already? Some people was in and this is, I mean, I hear y'all. Y'all got y'all hopes up thinking something about to happen, because people was some people was on my Twitter and some people was in the comments on YouTube like, well, Dane, the state of California is looking into it. Dane, the state of North Carolina is looking into it. Looking into it. Looking into it is the same as studying, right? Right or wrong? Let me set this to you. Come on, man. Now, I asked this before. How long are you willing to wait in order for this government to roll over and pay up? How long you willing to wait? Because first of all, I think, okay, it got to be done. It got to be done on a federal level, number one. Number two, each state that was involved in capitalizing on colonizing our lands should be held responsible. Each state, not just a few of them. In fact, each foreign entity that made its way over here in order to colonize our people and colonize our people on our lands, they should be held responsible. Who was that, Dane? Well, I mean, you know, the ones that some foreigners refer to as the Holy Trinity. Who was that? That's France, Spain, and Britain. While practicing their little religious beliefs by way of the doctrine of discovery. Listen. All while allowing people like so-called King James, the same one that allegedly wrote his own version of the Bible, to send missionaries here to America in order to preach or teach our people the gospel, which was later referred to as the Congregation for Propagating the Gospel in Foreign Parts in 1701. That was the Congregation for Propagating the Gospel in Foreign Parts in 1701. Even though they were here since, some are going to say 1607, some are going to say 1614. You got to get my book. It was told in reverse. I'm going to tell you it all with everything. Okay? But no, we are not the same as Africans. And that is why they were treated fairly during the times of racial segregation in America. That's why we're not the same. This pill is only hard for some people to swallow because they were indoctrinated with fairy tales about America from strangers who either had absolutely no idea what they were talking about. I could say that they were paid to regurgitate those lies as a teacher, or professors in school, or they had an agenda of their own to keep our people blind from the truth. And I see somebody, okay, my wife and I wrote a book about this entitled It Was Told in Reverse: The Untold Truth About the Transatlantic Slave Trade Story. Okay? And we go into full detail about the things that we have been told as students, which were lies, and we also provided the absolute truth. In fact, hold on. I'm gonna do something right now. Let me play this video before we move on, okay? All right, here we go. Through compulsory educational institutions, vulnerable children were taught as young students about the topic of U.S. history, a mandatory learning curriculum. These young students were forced to study and comprehend all information provided by their teachers concerning this topic, to pass multiple tests and possibly graduate toward the next grading level. Without strict supervision at home from their parents concerning what their children learned in school, these students eventually became adults that were indoctrinated with detailed information about U.S. history, which they now believe is the absolute truth without any doubts or room for questioning its accuracy or validity. This type of social engineering experiment systematically manipulated millions of Americans' mindsets into a one-directional belief system, to the point where the offspring of the indigenous Niji, who are misclassified today as African Americans or Black Americans, will believe that their direct ancestors were somehow captured by anonymous European Caucasian sailors from random parts of West Africa and then forcefully migrated to North America to work as slaves for foreigners from another continent. This folklore is commonly known today as the transatlantic slave trade story. However, essential details of this story did not happen the way that we were all told by strangers in school. Not only was this deceitful story drastically manipulated and even exaggerated by design, but it was also told to us in reverse. This book is made available to order June 30th, 2022. Order your copy today to learn more. Yep. So it's available now. I want to thank each and every one of you that has supported my wife and I's book already, and even to those of you that plan on doing so in the future. Okay, you all are greatly appreciated. Okay, so now, what's even more stunning is how the truth can be right in front of people's faces and they will still miss it. I want to give you an example. Give me a second, I'm about to pull this up. Yeah, let me, okay. All right, so, okay, it's queued up now. So let me give you a rundown of what I'm about to show you real quick. In the early 1990s, MTV ran episodes of an animated series that they enlisted as their new comedy show. The show did extremely well for MTV. It saw great success nationally and even internationally for several seasons. Now, due to its popularity, most of you may be familiar with this show, which was called Beavis and Butthead. Okay, now listen, hold on. Now, I'm sure most of you can recall these comedic animated characters giving their take on particular music videos during their show. That's what was going on during the early parts of their show. They would watch a music video performed by, during the early stages, it was performed mostly by heavy metal artists. Like, they eventually started branching off and, you know, listening to other music, but it was really heavy metal in the beginning. What I'm about to refer to here with this example. And they shared what they liked and what they didn't like about whatever music video they was watching, as if they were watching it on their TV, on their own TV inside of their home, right? Now, this particular episode that I'm about to show you was brought to my attention by Aboriginal Turtle on my Instagram about a week or so ago. Shout out to you, brother. I appreciate that. And for copyright purposes, I had to duck down the music that was being played during this episode, but I turned up the audio of Beavis and Butthead. They were criticizing this particular music video that was performed by, oh, let me get this. It was performed by Green Day. It was called Basket Case. And this was released, keep this out, this was released in 1994. So I want you to hear that conversation. Now, mind you, I'm gonna say this again. The truth can be right in front of people's faces, and they will still miss it. Let's go.
How come that guitar's in the hospital? Okay. You don't have to say anything. I asked you a question, but you know, that's okay.
This looks like that movie, One Flew in the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, yeah. That's that movie with all those dudes in Taxi, only they're retarded.
You know, I think you're not supposed to call him retarded. You're supposed to call him, like mentally superior or something.
Oh, yeah. Remember that big Indian dude in that movie?
Mm-hmm.
He was cool. And then he couldn't talk unless he was talking about gum.
Yeah. You know, I think you're not supposed to say Indian either.
No way, really?
Yeah. I think you're supposed to call them African Americans.
Wait. Hold up. We're gonna be dropping bombs. Wait a minute. Let's play it one more time for the people way in the back.
You know, I think you're not supposed to say Indian either.
No way, really?
Yeah. I think you're supposed to call them African Americans.
Listen. Did you notice that he didn't say Native Americans? He said what? He said African Americans. This was aired in 1994 on MTV. The Beavis and Butthead, the show's creator, director, producer, and writer, which is very important, is a guy by the name of Michael Judge. This is what he looked like. He was born in Ecuador in South America. So some of you may, some of you may think he's white, and some of you may consider him to be Spanish or Latino. But I also want you to note, this is what's important. I want you to note that they know the truth as well. So shout out to all my Nijis in South America and Central America. What up? Mike Judge was also, by the way, the voice actor for both Beavis and Butthead. So he knew exactly what he was doing here. Especially with him being the writer and the voice actor. That was done purposely. I knew that was going to hit home. And this just we just getting started. You know, I want to shout out to the people that sent me. It was more than one person. I know Aboriginal Turtle sent it to me first, but it was multiple people sending me that on Instagram. And I told you guys, hold on, let me see what I could do, because I know that was copyrighted. And you know, so I had to do some editing to duck that music in the background down. But yeah, 1994, man. 1994, Beavis and Butthead. You know, they do this a lot. They throw it in movies, they throw it in music, television shows. They do this a lot. There's a few of them that I do have. I'll probably eventually play them during, you know, some type of live stream that people didn't get a chance to see. I'll show you. They throw hints out there all the time. All the time. And then look, and the people that come at me be the people that don't want to accept it. You know, they just much rather cling on to that African ideology without actually doing their research on their own individual family, which is the most important thing that I tell you to do. You have to do your genealogy. If you don't know who you are, then what else could you do? What else could you do? Can't do nothing about that, man. That has to get changed. Because once you become one with yourself, well, before you become one with yourself, you have to know exactly who you are, inside and out. And then that way you can master yourself a lot faster, better, more accurate, and it will be valid, because can't nobody take that from you, no matter who they are, no matter what title they hold. That's what I'm all about. That's what I'm all about. Shout out to Z Shale Thomas, I see you. And shout out to those of you that were becoming the members and sending in donations during that time period. I didn't get the shout out. I apologize, okay? So the next segment I want to get into, let me cue this up really quickly. Now let's go a little bit further, okay? Because a lot of people, you know what they do? Their excuse is right after we already debunked the transatlantic slave trade story. We debunked the, and what I mean by debunked, hold on. Oh, I'm glad I thought of this. Because it's a lot of people out there misinterpreting my message. Let me explain right now before we go any further that I'm telling you that the transatlantic slave trade did not happen the way that we were told. The transatlantic slave trade did not happen the way that we were told. I said that twice because everybody's saying, well, he's saying the slave trade didn't happen. No, I am not. I'm telling you that the slave trade happened in reverse. It was told in a reverse manner, meaning that our people were being sent to West Africa from here, not the other way around. And I proved that to you on multiple occasions on my channel, number one. And number two, just in case you get things twisted, I'm not gonna do this again, but I'm gonna do it again, to let you know the book is out. It's out. Evidence in there as well. I dare you to pick that book up and read it. I dare you. I dare anybody to pick up that book and debunk anything that I'm saying in there with records, not just you talking out the side of your neck. Records. You're not gonna be able to do it. I'm telling you right now, I'm not doing this to say I'm better than anybody. I'm doing this because there's a lot of things that we have to change that we were taught. And it was so filled with indoctrination. You guys were indoctrinated with that. A lot of misinformation was involved in our schooling process all throughout those curriculums. That was mandatory, that we had to learn. And, not to knock the parents, but when we were coming home, the parents wasn't worried about what you were being taught in history class, for example. Right now, can't nobody run off all 50 states right now. But they made sure that they indoctrinated into your brain that you came from Africa. I ain't gonna go too far. I'm gonna calm down. I'm not gonna calm down. I'm gonna just tone it down. We're gonna move on to the next subject. But just let that be known. Well, actually, it's the same subject, but I'm gonna just go a little bit deeper. But just let that be known that no, the transatlantic slave trade did not happen the way that we were told. Number one, it was called the Middle Passage. Before it was called the transatlantic slave trade. Or the transatlantic slave trade. Yeah, I said it right. It was called the Middle Passage, and that was for a reason. A lot of those people cannot go across the Atlantic, and I showed you that as well. Let's see if you guys can remember that in the chat. When I showed you that they couldn't go across the Atlantic to Africa, why was that? Can anybody say it in the chat? If I don't see it in the chat, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna just 1 minute. I'm gonna just see if somebody could, just 1 minute or 30 seconds, 60 seconds, yeah, 1 minute. Okay, somebody said it right away. The ocean gyres. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all learning. That's what I'm here to. That's what I'm here to do. The ocean gyres. That's why, due to the current rotation, meaning the water, they cannot travel straight across. They lied to us. That's still happening today, by the way. In fact, I'll show you. I'll go. Matter of fact, how can I do this? I'm probably gonna have to. Should I record it? I'm probably gonna have to record it. But there's a process that you go through in order to, because you can still do these trips right now, guys. Like literally take a cargo ship to parts of Europe and parts of Africa. But I want you guys to understand, still to this very day, that takes months to happen. 2 to 3 months to be exact, just to get there. And it's due to how they gotta travel. They did not, if they touch that Atlantic, it's on the coast, very close to the coast. They're not going out in the middle. Ain't no telling what's gonna happen if they go out there. They'll be lost at sea. I said this before, and I'm very thankful that those of you that are learning, now don't get me the line, I don't know which video that was. It's still on my channel. It was a few of them where I went into depth about the current rotation, the ocean gyres. I wish I could recall the name of that right away. If you want me to repost it, I'll repost it and just name it strictly that or something like that. But yeah, that's right now. That's nothing made up. That is strictly that I wouldn't even consider it a fact, because a fact could be based on somebody else's opinion. That's the truth. This is what they're going through right now. They're still taking these same exact routes right now. That's why I was called the Middle Passage, because they were going by way of the middle territory, where it wouldn't be out in the ocean They were taking these rivers like the Mississippi River, for example. I told you this already. This is why I told you it was the Nile, because where it's leading to, I dare anybody to, I'm stating this verbatim in a way. You know, of course I'm regurgitating myself, but saying it differently. But ain't nobody come out and debunk that yet. You know what they do? They get in their feelings. They don't know what he talking about. He this and he that. And they calling me all sorts of names, or we need to stop him. We need to do something. We need to set up a campaign to stop him. You're not gonna stop me. You can't stop me. I was sent by my ancestors and those of your ancestors that know I'm telling the truth. They all got my back. Ain't no way you can get rid of that spiritual connection. Period. Period. Let me say period. Yeah. But another excuse that these people will fall back on is DNA. Is DNA. And what's crazy is that they tell you, oh, go take a DNA test. But wait a minute. And you know how they contradict themselves and say, well, the white man lied, and y'all, we came from Africa, the white man lying, this and that and this and that. And then you fall right for the white man again with DNA testing. No, but that's the scientists, it's the science. What is science? Think about that. That's a lot of studying, number one. Number two, there's a lot of theories involved. Number three, these theories have to be confirmed, validated. They have to be accurate. And you are misinterpreting what a genealogy DNA test is based off of your own assumption from what you saw on things like Jerry Springer and what's the other guys? The Maury Show. Just because they could tell that that baby is that person's, which is somebody that's living, by the way, keep that in mind, that don't mean that they could tell you your historical genetic makeup overall. Honestly, that's an impossible task. How? And you not digging up my ancestors? Great. Listen, y'all, but you want to trust the science. The same science that say that they want to depopulate America by way of a vaccine on multiple occasions, ain't just this last one. And here come another one. And wait a minute, y'all, it's coming from Africa. Then how'd it get here if y'all know where it's at? How are y'all letting it get here? So what's your excuse? And you making all these prices go sky high, and people losing their jobs left and right, can't even afford to pay for gas to get to their job. You ain't even decide to raise up minimum wage or give somebody some raises because of all the crap that they going through. But no, we gotta create we gotta create some type of a vaccine really quick so people won't die, huh? But what if they die from the consequence, from the things that they're going through right now based off of you raising these prices up, government, allowing these things to happen, and you pointing the blame on other countries and other continents that ain't got nothing to do with us? You're lying. Stop lying. Russia ain't got nothing to do with us. What they do is none of our concern. What you do is our concern, government. Well, it's because of and that's not even 13%. I already broke this down in the video. It's not even 13%. Of their, what they call it, a global trade. Not even 30. Russia don't even make up 13% of their global trade when it come to oil. So you're making an excuse. And the diesel trucks need it. Why? Because they transporting the food from the farms
So you literally trying to stop somebody from eating, stop somebody from surviving because of what? Corporate greed? You think you're gonna get some money out of this? Or you gonna get a good laugh at it? Ha ha, we made them struggle. It's gonna backfire on those people that don't have good intent within themselves and for other people. Karma works both ways, for good and bad. I don't care how much magic tricks you pull, it's gonna backfire on you. But to back to what I was saying, a lot of people, to those of you that are, you know, always getting some type of resistance when somebody say, well, go take a DNA test. And it's not about making them believe anything. Don't make them believe nothing. Just tell them, how is that possible? Are they digging up your ancestors' graves? Huh? So how are they collecting samples of your previous generations to tell you that this is your entire historical genetic makeup when they're just limited to telling you information on other living people? Let's get into it. I'm gonna start from right here. Let's start this video off with something that I presented in the past that you might have missed. No, it's not an Easter egg per se, but it does allow the viewer to understand what we are dealing with here when it comes to DNA genealogy test or ancestry test results. And here's what I mean by that. On the date of October 28th, 2010, Henry Louis Gates Jr. is given a public address located at the University of California in front of students and fellow professors on the topic of, quote, genealogy, genetics, and African American history. At the time of this public broadcast, Henry Louis Gates Jr. was a professor at the Alfonso Fletcher University and the director of the W.E.B. Du Bois Institute for African and African American Research. Keep in mind that he is also responsible for the cultivation of the site known as slavevoyages.org, in which I forced them to change their information 2 years ago by utilizing my research on publicly verifiable evidence against their conceptualism. All right, hold on. This was this video. I released this video back in 2019, and I did do a follow-up on a live stream. Okay, but right now we're live, so I'll be going over it again. Okay, and I believe I added to this. If I'm not mistaken, that's why I was longer than 15 minutes. I added to this, so that's why I said, okay, let me use this one. But this was 2019, guys. Just a heads up, I don't want you to get confused. And conceptual arts. I updated my viewers about that portion of this topic in a live stream that I'll link up above right now. So during his address or lecture or whatever you want to call it, he shared some vital information that not only exposes himself, but also exposes how people can be easily manipulated by way of social engineering experiments. Listen closely.
There's Alex Haley coming out of the blue, could go all the way to Africa. He could go to the ship that brought his African ancestors over, and then he went all the way back to Gambia. So I was totally jealous of Alex Haley. And so I had a profound and severe case of Ruth envy. But I figured, well, I'll never, only Alex Haley could do that, right? So I got to know Quincy Jones in 1999. Anthony Appia, my dear friend, and I edited the Africana Encyclopedia, and then we founded Africana.com, which we needed some investors, and by this time it's complicated, but I gotten to be friends with Quincy Jones, still a great friend of mine. And Quincy introduced me to Alex Haley. And more than that, Quincy, it turned out, was obsessed with genealogy as well. Quincy scored the music for Roots. So for Christmas, he would give people their family trees. So, you know, I thought about that, and but there was nothing I could do about that. Well, here's a funny thing happened. You never know. The Bible says be careful what you wish for. In the year 2000, a young black geneticist named Dr. Rick Kittles, who at the time was teaching at Howard University, sent me a letter. He's now at the University of Chicago Medical School. And he said that he was asking various African-American men if they would submit themselves to this new test. And through this test, he could trace on your mother's line where in Africa you were from. Man, that was some serious stuff. And I said, yeah, I mean, I called him right away, and I said, definitely.
Now, at this point of the video, Henry was referring to a guy by the name of Rick Kittles, who is one of the co-founders of a genealogy DNA testing company called African Ancestry that's promoted strictly to people of color that believes they may have some African descent within their lineage. And so this company claims to be able to trace people's ancestral roots back to a specific present-day African country and tribe or ethnic group by way of a living being's saliva. Now, it's quite apparent that this task is merely impossible to accomplish in this day and age of technology. I mean, even the #1 genealogy DNA testing company in America, called Ancestry DNA, can't even do such a thing for their own customers. So, how can a new college graduate gain the funding possible to obtain access to biobanks of millions of people's DNA data without even meeting them in person? And how can these biobanks obtain millions of people's DNA data without them digging up the graveyards of billions of deceased people all over America and any other said place that they would love to connect you to? Keep in mind, companies in this fashion are very limited to only comparing your data with the data of other living people. So that has absolutely nothing to do with anyone's historical genetic makeup altogether. And no matter how some people may feel about genealogy DNA tests, there are people out there warning folks about the entertainment surrounding genealogy DNA testing and genealogy DNA test results. And even Henry Louis Gates Jr. himself chuckled at the idea that genealogy DNA test results are in close proximity of the truth.
And he said that of all the people he'd written to, nobody was writing him back. And I couldn't figure out why, but I later found out why. So I said, would you want me to come to Washington? He goes, no, I'll come up to Harvard Square. It's where I was living. So about a week later, he showed up. And now, I've had many operations. I broke my hip when I was playing football when I was about 14. It was misdiagnosed by country doctors. So I've had a zillion operations on my leg, right? So I know about having blood extracted. If you could see my veins is, just look at a vial and blood pours out, right? I'm very easy to get my blood. Well, after half an hour, I realized that two things. That Dr. Rick Kittles is a brilliant geneticist, but he's not brilliant at extracting blood. I also realized why no other black male was stupid enough to let him come up to try to take their blood. Because that brother kept poking around, and I thought, damn, this Kunta Kinte stuff is hard work. How badly do I want to know where I'm from in Africa? But I really wanted to know. I'd wanted to know since I was 9 years old, so, you know, let's go for it. So finally, see, at the time, you had to extract a lot of DNA in order to run the test. Now, you just swab your cheek or spit in the test tube, depending on the company that you use. We could talk about that a little bit later.
Now, it's very important to note that he states this at this very moment, because he then later debunks these processes by saying that you cannot tell what tribe someone was a part of
historically by attempting either of these processes he just mentioned.
So it's very easy and it's very painless. So I waited and I waited and I waited. You know, Rick Kittles went back to Washington. I waited for the result. And I didn't hear from him. So finally I called him. And you know how people do. He picked up the phone after I called him about 1 million times. He goes, "Oh man, I was just about to return your phone call." I said, "Rick, what's up, man? Where am I from in Africa? Where are my people? You know, I want to jump on a plane and go. I thought I'd buy some land, you know, get a fine little African sister, you know, to hook up." I was single at the time, don't get me wrong. I'm still single. So he said, "Well, we had to run, your results were anomalous, and we had to run them many times. But we finally have figured out where you're from. You are descended on your mother's side from the Nubian people." Now, all African Americans, not all African Americans, but many African Americans want to be descended from one or two ethnic groups. Either the Zulu, because the Chaka Zulu, and the Zulu kicked the English in the Boer Wars, right? Until they finally were overcome. But you want to be Zulu, or you want to be Nubian. Who were the Nubians? The Nubians were the black pharaohs, right? The Nubians are in the Bible. The 25th dynasty was the Nubian dynasty. In Egyptian art, they always hated the Nubians. Nubians are always represented as darker. You know, they were warring kingdoms. And Nubia ran from what today's Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, up to the Aswan Dam, the second cataract in the Nile River. And so a Nubian, and all these people wanted to be Nubians, descended from the black pharaohs. So my friend Molefi Asante, you know, the founder of Afrocentricity, we argued a lot in public, but we're very good friends privately. I joke, every time he attacks me, I get a raise at Harvard, so it's cool. So I attack him, you know. We do what Malcolm and Martin couldn't do, you know. Set it up, and then we go split the money and slap five and go to Sylvia's, have fried chicken. Believe me, that's a much better way to function than hating each other. So I called Molefi first thing. I said, "Molefi, I just got my results back. I am a Nubian. Where are you from?" "I am the true African prince." My friend Anthony Appiah, whose uncle was the Asantehene, the king of the Asante people. When Rick Kittle sent me a certificate announcing I was Nubian, Anthony Appiah looked at it and said, "What a ton of rubbish." Now, why would he say that? Well, there's a slight problem with being either Zulu or Nubian if you're African American. You know what the problem is? None of our ancestors who came here in slavery came from South Africa, the Zulu people, or from Nubia. None, zero. Egypt is over here. The slaves came from the area from Senegal down to Angola. 97% of the slaves came from that region, all right? So, you know how long it would take them to walk from Sudan to Senegal or to Angola? It just didn't happen. So I looked at Anthony and I said, "You're just jealous. Because I am a Nubian prince. I didn't care. I had it framed. I put it up in my living room so everybody could see that I was from royalty." So I didn't think about it. I thought maybe it was strange. Maybe it was on a trade route. You know, there were great Muslim trade routes. You know, today, this is important for the students. In my time, we were taught that the Africans were these benighted people, and they were too stupid to build a boat or to be curious about the world and cross the Sahara Desert. It was rubbish. Africans were just as curious as anybody else. The Sahara Desert was a highway. It wasn't a barrier. So I thought, well, and there were great trade routes. So I thought maybe my Nubian descendant had come over and ended up being tricked by some white man and ended up in Maryland or Virginia or something. So that was cool. And if I needed an interpretation, believe me, I could have produced one.
Now, he could have produced one. I'd like for you to keep in mind what he just stated here. He said, "If I needed an interpretation, believe me, I could have produced one." So in other words, he's informing everyone that he would not hesitate to create a detailed explanation about something that is not actually there to begin with. And he did in fact create his own explanation after he noticed what Rick Kittles and others were doing in order to produce these test results. So at this point of his address, he not only exposes genealogy DNA tests and genealogy DNA testing results, but he also exposes his fellow colleagues. And he didn't forget to add himself into the equation.
So, and by the way, you know the Zulu thing? When Oprah was finally in the first series, and we gave her DNA test, basically the next day she went to South Africa to announce that she was opening what became the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy. She was in an auditorium like 75,000 people or something, and she announced that she just had the test and that she was Zulu. So it broke on CNN. I was sitting in my living room minding my own business and said, Oprah Winfrey's a Zulu. So I called Rick Kittles and I said, Rick, did you tell Oprah she was a Zulu? He goes, no, man, she made that up herself.
She made that up herself, right? Now, all right. So she made it up herself. Now everybody should remember that when Oprah came out on TV saying, you know, she was some African royalty, she took a trip to Africa. Some of y'all should remember that because that made the news. Of course, it's Oprah Winfrey. That made the news. But I'm not gonna. All right, hold on. Let me finish up right here. Let me finish this.
It's a true story. It's a true story. I would lie to make you laugh, but I'm telling you a true story. So I said, Rick, are you in your lab? He said, yeah. I said, is anybody there? He said, no. I said, when the results come in, make her Zulu, man. You know? I said, you back there making it up anyway. I said, you back there making it up anyway. Nobody believe you could take some spit and figure out a tribe? What are you, crazy? So anyway, I was a Nubian and it was cool. Well, here's the miracle. One of the
Hold up. I was over here laughing so hard I forgot to unmute my mic. He said you back there making it up anyway, basically pushing Rick Kittles to help her out. And then he shamed the genealogy DNA testing by saying, who's gonna believe that? You're gonna take some spit, saliva, etc., etc. I forgot what he said verbatim, but he just belittled the DNA genealogy test. He just belittled that. I see people putting up they calling him a clown because he is. Henry Louis Gates Jr. was just doing this for the money, strictly for the money. And he told you, and he told everybody else that's in the audience. A lot of middle-aged white people were in the audience as well. Like, I mean, this is no secret, guys. This was no secret. And he had his hands involved in this. And I believe, I'm not going to give it away, because I believe I got into it right here. If I didn't, then I'll talk about it. But he got himself involved in it as well because he knew, hey, there's some money to be made in this. Let me see what I could do about it. And yeah, I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about.
Many miracles, thank God, that happened in my life. I got up in the middle of the night, and to be honest, I have to tell you the truth, I got up to go to the bathroom. And I was standing there in the bathroom, minding my own business. And I had an idea. And here's what was the idea. I would take this passion I had from the time I was 9 years old in genealogy, and I would get 8 prominent African Americans, and I would trace their family tree back into the abyss of slavery, back to the time when the paper trail disappears, because inevitably it disappears for all of us, all of our ancestors. It just wasn't a paper trail. You can't trace people, there's no printed record. And then when the paper trail disappears, it is printed record. I would do their DNA and tell them where they were from in Africa. I was so excited, I had tears in my eyes.
So now you know that Henry Louis Gates Jr. saw the opportunity to capitalize on the pains of so-called blacks here in America. And their most inconvenient pains are their stolen identities in history. So Henry decided to do exactly what he saw Rick Kittles do, except Henry was approved to make it a national television series. So if Rick Kittles was back there making it up anyway, what do you think Henry Louis Gates Jr. was up to?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, I'm glad I did that. So now you know that show that he came out with, I forgot what it was called, Tracing Your Roots or some crap like that. It was all for entertainment. Where he took, like he said, he took some prominent so-called African Americans, said that he was going to trace their ancestry back, but the whole purpose was to trace their ancestry back to Africa. Now, I forgot who it was. One of them he couldn't. I mean, he had to throw in there. You got to always throw in a wrench to make it look like he couldn't trace everybody back to Africa. And I forgot what that actress, what was the actor's name? Hey, dark-skinned guy. I forgot, but he exposed that he had American Indian roots. Okay, but the whole point is that a lot of them do. But once again, since Rick Kittles was back there making it up anyway, he saw the opportunity to capitalize on people's ignorance and decided to do it himself on national television by way of Quincy Jones paying him and other people paying him behind the scenes that I don't know their names right offhand, okay, but I know it was a lot of universities involved. Harvard, it was his little Africana project in which he got from W.E.B. Du Bois. By the way, I'm going to do a segment on that guy because I think I should. There's a lot of information that I didn't get a chance to put out there about him and Booker T. Washington, about how they basically betrayed our people for the money the same way Henry Louis Gates Jr. did. A lot of people did that. And it's unfortunate. That really does upset me, but I'm not trying to get upset here. But so right here in this segment that I'm getting ready to play right now you're going to learn the differences between a genealogy DNA test and paternal and maternal DNA test. Okay, and their results. So I'll break this down. Now I know a lot of people didn't get a chance to see this on my channel because we know for a fact that Google is YouTube and Google is heavily involved in this, guys. Okay, because they got their money. Matter of fact, they have their funds in it. Alphabet Inc. is their parent company. Alphabet Inc. is funding Google. Google is also tied to the African, what is it called? AncestryDNA.com. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about what it's called, but the main one that they want you to go to and pay between $99 to $599 to get some damn certificate in the mail saying whatever you are. Or sometimes they'll even give you a link to show you a map about, the percentages in different areas. It's stupid. It's honestly hilarious because they don't show you, number one, they don't show you the process. They don't show you what they went through. You're just assuming what they went through. You don't know. You have absolutely no idea. You are not behind the scientists conducted some whatever research study they're doing. You're not behind. You don't know what they're doing with your data. Okay, I actually have a movie out about that too, about what they are doing with your data, called Biological Warfare. That's on my website as well. I know I'm doing a lot of plugging because I normally didn't, and my team got on me about that. Start plugging in your stuff, Dane. I said, all right, Biological Warfare is on this. I break it all the way down. And that's on my website, Biological Warfare. That's how you get it. But I tell you what they do with your data in real time. In fact, that was on I'm gonna tell you the truth, that was on my YouTube channel, and it was doing so well that YouTube took it down. So I said, forget it. I put more pieces to it, made it a movie. It's available on my website. Okay, may even be available on Amazon later on down the line. We'll see. That's if they allow it, because I'm not about to change nothing. But let's get into it.
Let's clear up some confusion that has since made the public feel as though paternal and maternal DNA test results are the exact same as DNA ancestry test results. Some of you may be aware of this, but for those of you who are not, the term paternal is referring to the father, and of course maternal refers to the mother. Paternal and maternal DNA test results were concluded based on comparing a living individual's data with another living individual's data. So, if you were in dire need to find out who your biological mother or father is, these particular parental tests will analyze your 23 chromosomes, which are inherited from both of your biological parents, because you will carry one chromosome that came directly from each of your parents. Most companies require a sample of DNA data by swabbing the mouth from each parent and their possible child or children. Some companies claim that they can even conduct parental tests without having both of the parents' data available to them. But this is only capable of happening by testing the data of the missing individual's parents or first-degree relatives, unless the company was granted permission to conduct an autopsy on that individual if applicable. Now, if you listened to me closely.
All right, I wanted to, hold on. I wanted to stop right there and say that we know for a fact that these companies do not have permission to conduct autopsies on our family members or even dig up, our ancestors' graves to do any research on them. We know that for a fact. That's unrealistic, number one. Number two, that would probably cost them a lot of money. They would have to pay the families off in order for that to happen. Okay. I want that to sink in. Okay. Shout out to Levante, brother. I'm gonna be contacting you too because I got something coming up. I'm gonna need your hand in. And I appreciate you being here, brother. But yeah, I really do. Nigel, thank you for becoming a member. I really appreciate that. I really do want this to sink in, guys, because this is something that has been promoted to us ever since, I want to say it really started kicking tail about 2014, when it really started kicking tail. As far as genealogy DNA testing is concerned, when they said, oh, you could trace your ancestry through DNA. Okay. I mean, and still to this very day, even though this video is about 3 or 4 years old, still to this day, their technology has not enhanced enough to a point where they can find out your historical genetic makeup right now, because there's no way that you can do that without, once again, digging up your ancestors' graves one by one. And then your family members are multiplied by 4. You got 2 grandmothers, 2 grandfathers. Okay? And quadruple that each generation. That's what I mean by multiplied by 4. That is a lot of family members. Number one. Number two, if that's the case, then they should be telling you about your family members here versus it being somewhere else. RJ, thank you for becoming a member. They should be telling you about your family members here before they tell you about Africa. That's straight up. If they're not doing that, then you know something is wrong, because they're not doing that. That's right now. They're not doing that. So what are they feeding you? You're gonna learn. Michael Green, thank you for becoming a member. Let's continue on right now.
You now know that paternal and maternal DNA testing are very limited and can only go as far as comparing your data with other living relatives of your direct family, unless you give them permission to conduct an autopsy on all of your deceased family members, which is very unrealistic. So, are paternal and or maternal DNA test results the same as DNA ancestry test results? The answer is no, and I will explain why. But before I do so, let's go over another common theory that the public utilizes and inadvertently gives DNA ancestry test results more credibility based solely on the scientific credibility of mitochondrial DNA test results. To put it in plain terms, mitochondrial DNA is the genetic material found in mitochondria that gets passed down from a child's mother exclusively, due to it being transmitted through the female egg only. So, this means that the mother's sons and daughters can receive this mitochondrial DNA, but the sons of the mother cannot pass down their mother's mitochondrial DNA to their children as an adult. This particular DNA does not combine with any other DNA. It comes directly from the maternal line over many generations, and it goes virtually unchanged. This is why mitochondrial DNA test results cannot be compared to any genealogical test, due to the fact that it is more of an anthropological test, because it cannot be tied to any specific surname, since the mother traditionally takes on the surname of the father. Also,
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Because when they get married, the mother will usually take on the surname of the father. Anthropological test has to do with the study of mankind or humankind. That's what that's about. Trying to trace it through the mitochondrial DNA or mtDNA. That's a very good point. I'm actually glad that I pointed that out, because people are still making the misconception that these two are the same. These two test results or testing are the same, and they're not. They're absolutely totally different. Totally different. That's very important. Okay, when you get married, yeah, they're taking, like my wife took on my last name. That's still happening. That's still happening. Now we could go, and now when you going all the way back, what makes it even more difficult was things that were marriages that weren't documented by way of a particular church. Okay, so sometimes some of these records will reflect nicknames. And I had a video on this. I think it was called The Untold Truth About Surnames, where you could learn more about that. So they created their own nicknames. Our family members created their own nicknames in a sense, even before they were, considered married or whatnot. It doesn't matter the time period as far as when they did it. But even still to this day, we're going by nicknames. Okay. Nicknames was around for a long time, guys. For a long time. That's why certain things would be difficult when you're doing some research on particular surnames. It could have been spelled differently. It could have been spelled the way it was pronounced. I could say that as well. Do it that way as well. Don't forget that. That was a very good one. I'm glad that came to me. Or a couple of nicknames. And it's best to find most of the information out from elder family members in your family, whether it be your elder uncle, could be like an elder great uncle per se, great aunt, like those the ones that are still living in your family. Okay, jot that information down, including nicknames. Like for example, my grandmother's nickname was Dot. Okay, now I didn't see any record as far as with her nickname being down as far as U.S. Census is concerned, but I did see that she wrote it down on her, what is it called? It was like basically when she was trying to get pension for my grandfather being in the Army, and or actually from the Air Force, and she put Dot. Okay, and I was like, oh, okay. So you got to be mindful of that. Sometimes they will use their nickname as their first name. Okay, that was I'm glad I brought that in. When you're doing genealogy, I just wanted to bring that up. I'm gonna keep going right now.
Mitochondrial DNA test results are not useful for historical genealogical research due to how it mutates much slower than Y-DNA, and how identical it is to your mother's maternal ancestors of thousands of years ago, and also how identical it is to millions of other living people today. Side note, this also exposes how there is realistically no way of determining in a truthful sense whether if your common ancestor lived recently or thousands of years ago. Which should also make you ask the question, are those anthropologists accurate with claiming that some historical skull artifact they discovered was of an individual that lived some thousands of years ago? Millions of people are drawn to the open theory that a mysterious DNA ancestry test can somehow provide the most accurate and accountable information of one's family traits by percentage and/or location. But they fail to notice that all district and Supreme Courts do not recognize nor approve of any genealogy DNA ancestry test results as documented proof or evidence of one's true identity. What these money-hungry companies do not tell you, or rather do not show you, is what really happens when a person hands over their real and private data to the majority of these popular DNA ancestry test companies. Companies like 23andMe, African Ancestry, and Ancestry DNA, etc., have created a way to secretly make you agree with allowing these companies full controllable rights over your very own DNA information. This means that these companies are literally taking your private information and selling it back for medical economic growth and research purposes to Big Pharma for larger than life profits. Now, this may seem harmless to some of you, but that depends on how a person truly feels about sharing their data to God knows who across the globe, and they cannot opt out of it once they have agreed to have a DNA ancestry test kit sent to them. Did you know this? There are millions of people who have no idea that this is happening due to the purposely very confusing verbiage used inside of these companies' terms of service. They do not make it user-friendly, nor do they commonly refer to their procedure as something the public should know about, which should make you wonder what else is hiding behind curtain number 2 and 3. Furthermore, keeping the consumer in the dark as to what the company actually does with your data while you wait for the results in the mail. More about what they actually do with your DNA data in my movie called Biological Warfare that is available exclusively on Vimeo on demand, and I'm just here to make you think.com/films. Another major red flag is the fact that many of these DNA ancestry test companies are requiring the consumer to participate in medical research as a condition of obtaining a DNA ancestry test kit. They tried to hide that major key requirement in a safe place where they know people would not be careful enough to check and read the terms of service for themselves. In fact, obtaining the customer's permission in this fashion is hardly informed consent, which is a direct prerequisite for a subject's participation in research. Genealogy tracking has become big business, with many companies charging up to thousands of dollars to allegedly trace your DNA data to specific historical figures or ethnic groups in the distant past by analyzing ancestry tests. While popular DNA ancestry companies insist that they are able to provide valuable and accurate DNA ancestry test results to their consumers, there are multiple other genealogists, scientists, and professors of the genetic field that have completely debunked this notion. Scientists have even offered multiple public warnings that these ancestry tests have little to no scientific backing whatsoever and are often so unreliable and inaccurate that they amount to genetic astrology. For example, 2 professors of UCL, or the University College London, named Mark G. Thomas and David Balding, gave a viral public warning about DNA ancestry test results and the pseudo-ethnical background stories given by these companies to their consumers within their results, calling them, quote, personally meaningless. They are just speculation from thin evidence. The genetic ancestry business uses a phenomenon well known in other areas such as horoscopes, where general information is interpreted as being more personal than it really is, end quote. They both highlighted uncritical media coverage of the issue as well. Professor Balding mentioned that, quote, news items about famous people being related to historical figures often comes from PR material provided by genetic testing companies. Then Professor Thomas stated that the idea that we can actually read our ancestry directly from our genes is, quote, absurd. This is business, and the business is genetic astrology. What is genetic astrology? On March 7, 2013, genealogist Dr. Tabitha Innocent stated, quote, it is well known that horoscopes use vague statements which recipients think are more tailored than they really are, referred to as the Forer effect. Genetic ancestry tests do a similar thing, and many exaggerated far beyond the available evidence about human origins. You cannot look at DNA and read it like a book or a map of a journey. For the most part, these tests cannot tell you the things that they claim to. They are little more than genetic astrology, end quote. Professors Mark Thomas and David Balding that I mentioned earlier collaborated with many genealogists like Dr. Tabitha Innocent, Dr. Turi King, Dr. Lunez Chikai, Dr. Rosalind Harding, and Professors Mark Jobling and Guido Barbuani to create an informative scientific campaign called Sense About Genetic Ancestry Testing that quietly debunked genealogy DNA ancestry tests and their results they sell to consumers today. The scientists and professors agreed that the results are pseudo due to the fact that, quote, genetic profiles cannot provide accurate information about an individual's ancestry, end quote. Though advertisements of ancestry testing companies give the impression that your unique DNA data can tell you a specific story about your ancestry, the scientists say that the same history that you get can be given to thousands of other people as well, with or without a similar ethnical background, and that any number of different possible interpretations can come from your DNA ancestry results, which is why you won't ever get the exact same results when using different DNA ancestry companies. So in conclusion, DNA ancestry test results are nothing more than a bunch of conjectures and inaccurate information, and should be treated that way, meaning that you should know that it is just for entertainment purposes only.
Okay. and what's sad is that a lot of people linked up to that and said, oh no, well, Dane, that's the truth. What they're telling us is the truth, when it was geneticists already telling you not to fall for that. And they put out a peer-reviewed study on it. And that hasn't been promoted over here in the US for a very particular reason. Because a lot of funding comes from a lot of the, like, okay, funding going to the Congress, for example, has everything to do with health. The big pharmaceutical companies are helping Congress financially. And a part of those the pharmaceutical industry is genealogy test companies. You guys got to put this, 2 and 2 together. Now I go in full detail, like I said in my movie, Biological Warfare. You can watch that. And yes, if you haven't already, those that have, they will tell you. I'm not playing. I put it out in full detail. They're just banking on your ignorance once again. And that's not fair. There's many things that we have to do to combat what is being done to us purposely. And this is the reason why the government don't care to give us reparations. They don't even care to hear our stories or our testimonies. They don't want to take a look at well, force them. Force them to do it. How do we do that, Dane? By creating our own. They're gonna want to jump on board once they see that we have established everything on our own, from top to bottom. Meaning we establish our own governments, we establish our own schools, our own businesses, our own banks, our own neighborhoods, our own cities, our own towns, our own states. They not gonna have a choice but to say, oh wait, we gotta take them serious. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. And the reason why I keep saying that same thing in different ways is because that's the solution. A lot of people tell me, well, Dane, they ask me, Dane, what's the solution? And I'm giving you the solution. We have to do this on our own. It's not about, okay, for example, I know a lot of people be like, well, we need to unify. We need to unify. Hear me out on that. A lot of our own people are not going to be capable of unifying because of how they have been raised and how deep they have been indoctrinated. Like, for example, there's people out there that disagree with me with a lot of things that I put out. They just disagree with Dane Calloway, no matter if I'm telling the truth. They don't care. They just disagree with me. That's a mental issue. That's a mental issue. So I'm going to stand here and tell you that we can't rely on unifying with everybody. We can't do that. That's unrealistic because not everybody's going to get along. You got to know the difference. Because if we're wearing the same things, how can you tell who's your enemy, okay, and who's your Niji? How can you tell friend or foe if we're all wearing the same outfit? Hear me out, y'all. Hear me out. Okay? So just imagine the many people that are watching this right now, and guys, you gotta click the like button. Come on. Like, I'm just looking at the numbers now, the like button, smash it. I never said that before, but I'm gonna ask you now. Destroy that like button. But just imagine us, okay? And I always promote this, and you're gonna see why I'm saying this for a reason, because I'm doing something behind the scenes on this. We only need 13% of our people to unify, and everybody else is gonna follow suit because they're gonna see the results versus talking about it. Hold on, let me drop a bomb. Because they're gonna see the results versus talking about it. That's why I'm doing a lot behind the scenes. Those of you that I didn't get a chance to reach back out to, give me time, okay? Because I am making some moves with people that contacted me earlier, and it's some deep moves. In fact, those of you that are involved in it, I wanna state this. Those of you that like music and stuff like that, and that you guys are familiar with the brother, his name is Young Thug, and he's been arrested for some RICO charges that they have to still go to court about next year. None of that stuff has been proven yet. Young Thug and Gunna. I want to put this out there right now because I noticed a lot of people didn't say this. In fact, I didn't see anybody stating this. Young Thug was on the verge of creating his own city. Drop a bomb. Young Thug was on the verge of creating his own city. Then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of stuff happened to him. Now, I don't want you to turn your nose up, okay? Because yes, he was on the verge of creating his own city. Then all of a sudden, they got him on this, they got him on that. I just want you to understand the bigger picture here. That's a big threat. So that's the reason why I don't put a lot of plans out in the open. And Thug did. You can look this up. Thug did. He was buying up land. So shout out to, may he rest in peace, Young Dolph as well. Buying up land, buying up property. That's what we need to do, but we need to be doing it behind the scenes. In fact, let me state this, guys, stop putting it up under your real name. Put it up under your business's names or some other name that you created. Okay, you can still put it up under your trust because they can't touch it. No, I mean, they could probably still track it, but just know that stop putting it up under your real name. Put it up under your business's names. Okay, because they're watching. They just hoping and praying that we keeping our people down. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you right now, those of you that are buying up land and buying up property, still do it. But stop putting it up under your real direct name. Put it up under your businesses. See, this is the reason why we can't find out right now. Actually, we can. I'm gonna talk about that later. But this is the reason why nobody can name right now who are the owners of these states. Because these states are corporations and they have owners. But nobody can name who owns these states. Of course, everybody's gonna put it on the Vatican, blah, 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 blah. They got the deed, da, 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 da. But they literally have owners. Literally, because they are incorporated, just like the government. I want you to think about that. And the reason why it's hard to track them is because they're under business names. Boom, beat them at their own game. Why not? Why not? I mean, because whatever solution do we have? We're gonna keep begging the government for some help? When the government is actually against us, we gotta do something about this, guys. And I'm telling you solutions. If you can disagree with me all you want. I'm telling you the solution. We gotta try it. No matter what obstacles they try to put in our face, like I know you probably gonna bring back up Tulsa, Oklahoma. Shout out to Tulsa. Shout out to Oklahoma. Shout out to the Greenwood District. And don't let that discourage you. We could do this again. We can. We could be even stronger now. The internet wasn't out back then. We could put stuff out in the open with cameras right now. So it's only but so much that they could do to us to stop us. Okay? But yeah, that's what Thug was doing. Thug was getting ready to create his own city. What's the guy's name to do the movies? Medea. What's Tyler Perry? Quietly, Tyler Perry built up his own Hollywood. Nobody knew about it until it was already being built. Let me drop a bomb. Nobody knew about it until it was already in motion. They tried to stop him too, and it didn't work. They tried to stop him. Now I know you probably gonna have some mixed feelings about him because of what type of person he is, whatever, woo woo. Forget all of that. The point is that he bought up a lot of acres and created his own Hollywood. That's a bomb drop. Straight up, we need to do our own, guys. Straight up. That's what's gotta happen regardless if they like it or not. Don't be scared of them. They scared of you. They scared that you gonna do something. I'm gonna calm down. But we need to do that, y'all. We gonna do it. It's inevitable. The change is happening, and it's happening from within. It starts with the individual. Set your mind onto what you think you could do. Set your mind onto what you believe you could do. Set your mind onto what you want to do and make it reality. Make it your reality. I love y'all. We're going to be doing this again. Thank you all for coming out. I'll see you all in the next video. Wado. Wado. That means thank you. Kitawa is the language, not Cherokee. Kitawa is the language. Stop playing with me. Shout out to my Ani and Weird family. The Great Wolf Clan. That's what that stands for. Woo! Dropping bombs. Huh? Is the crowd ready? I don't think they ready. Hype them up.
All right, is everybody ready? Yeah! All right, now here we go.
That's right. I love y'all. Y'all take care. I'll see you in the next one. Wado.